If you're a leader, you felt it, right? The constant change, the problems that pop up out of nowhere, and that pressure to have all the answers. But what if the best leaders don't actually have all the answers? What if they just have a better toolkit? Well, today we're building that toolkit piece by piece so you can stop just surviving uncertainty and actually start thriving in it. And this quote from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, it just nails it. Think about it. He doesn't say the test is having the perfect strategy from day one. He says it's about bringing clarity and generating energy, especially when things feel impossible. That's the real job, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, it's a fantastic quote for sure, but it leaves you wondering, how? Seriously, how do you bring clarity when you're feeling pretty confused yourself? How do you pump up the energy when your whole team is just drained? That's the gap we're here to fill. We're going to go from the what to the how. And we're starting right now. So the first tool in our kit isn't some fancy business framework or a new app. It's your own mind. Yep. Because before you can bring clarity to anything out there, you have to be crystal clear on the mental lens you're using to look at it. So let's talk about mastering your mindset. On one side, you've got this scarcity mindset. It's the classic belief that for me to win, you have to lose. We're all fighting over one fixed pie. But on the other side, you've got the abundance mindset. And this one doesn't just ask, how do I get my slice? It completely changes the game by asking, hey, how can we make the whole pie bigger for everyone? Or what could a win-win scenario look like here? That tiny shift from competition to creation, it's a leadership superpower. And here's another crucial one. The certainty mindset is, well, it's a trap. It's that voice that demands the perfect answer before you do anything, which, in a world that moves this fast, just leads to doing nothing at all. Paralysis. But the discovery mindset, it totally embraces uncertainty. It's all about progress over perfection. It asks questions like, what's the smallest, fastest thing we can try right now just to learn something? It's a move away from needing to be right to just wanting to find what's right. So, how do you actually make this shift in the moment? You use this simple little tool, the APR framework. Imagine you get some tough feedback. Your gut reaction might be to get defensive, right? That's your cue. First, you become aware of that feeling. Whoa, I'm getting defensive. Second, you pause. Just stop. Don't type that angry email. Take one deep breath. And third, you reframe. Instead of thinking they're wrong, you consciously ask, what can I learn from this? Awareness, pause, reframe. It's so simple, but it can completely change the entire outcome. Okay, so once your mindset is in a good place, you need a method. A way to actually tackle the problem itself, because a clear mind needs a clear framework, especially when things get messy. This is how you start to bring real structure to the chaos. Now, the foundation for all great structured thinking is a principle called MEIS. It sounds a little technical, I know, but the idea is incredibly simple. No overlaps, no gaps. That's it. It just means when you break a problem down into smaller pieces, every piece is totally separate, and all the pieces together cover 100% of the problem. Nothing gets left out, and nothing gets counted twice. Let's make this super concrete. Here is a classic non-MEISy mistake. Let's say you're categorizing food, and you list breakfast, lunch, and meals. You've created an overlap. Why? Because breakfast and lunch are types of meals. They're not separate categories. This kind of structure just creates confusion. Now, let's contrast that with a beautiful MEISy structure. Say you want to understand profitability. You can break that down into two clean buckets. Revenue drivers, all the money coming in, and cost drivers, all the money going out. See that? There is absolutely zero overlap between them, and together they cover everything that affects profit. This clean separation is what lets you really analyze a problem without getting tangled up. No overlaps, no gaps. All right. You've mastered your mindset. You've structured your thinking. You might honestly have the most brilliant solution in the world, but if you can't communicate it in a way that gets people to act, it's pretty much useless. This brings us to the last and maybe most important part of our toolkit, the message. The best way I know to structure your communication is with the EPIC framework, and the E stands for empathy. Before you even think about what you want to say, you have to understand your audience. Where are they coming from? What's on their mind? What pressures are they dealing with? Great communication doesn't start with your message, it starts with their world. The P is for purpose, and this is where so much communication just falls flat. Look, sharing an update is not a purpose. That's just an activity. A real purpose is about the outcome. So before you speak, you have to ask yourself, What do I actually want this audience to know, feel, or do after they hear from me? You have to define that action clearly. Then we have I for insight. This is the so what of your entire message. See, data by itself is just noise, and insight is the meaning you pull out of that noise. It's that one single memorable idea that makes all the facts and figures suddenly click for your audience. It's not about what you're presenting, it's about what they'll remember an hour later. And finally, C is for conversation. The best leaders, they don't give speeches, they start conversations. Your message isn't really done until it's been heard, maybe even challenged, and truly understood. So you have to plan for that dialogue. How are you going to invite questions? How will you make space for other people to jump in? The goal isn't to broadcast your idea, it's to build a shared understanding. So here's the whole thing together. Honestly, you should think of this as your pre-flight checklist before any important meeting or email. Before you even open a PowerPoint or start typing, just run through these 4 questions. They force you to shift your focus from what you want to say to what your audience needs to hear. And that, right there, is the secret to all impactful communication. So there we have it, our toolkit, the APR framework for our mindset, MISI for our structure, and EPIC for our communication. But let's be real, tools are only useful if you actually use them, right? So the final step is turning these ideas into sustainable, second-nature habits. And the simplest way to build any habit is to understand this thing called the habit loop. First, there's a cue. That's the trigger. Then there's the routine, the action you take. And finally, there's the reward, that good feeling that makes you want to do it again. So let's say your cue is feeling defensive in a meeting. Your new routine could be the APR framework. And the reward? It's that feeling of clarity and control you get. That positive feeling is what wires the habit into your brain. We've covered a lot, I get it. But the goal isn't to master all of this overnight. The goal is just to start. Pick one thing. Be consistent with it. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is the one adaptive habit, maybe it's pausing before you react, or always asking what's the purpose before a meeting, that you will start building today?